What up, squad? D20 here, and today I want to talk a little bit about your favorite, my favorite, a lot of people's favorites, Apex Legends Season 2. Apex launched back in February at the wonderful retail price of free, and since then it's been making steady gains in both player base and improvements to the game, some of which I want to go over with you right now. The Season 1 pass left a lot of people, including myself, a little underwhelmed. The skins were okay but not great, the banner trackers and such were underwhelming, and the whole thing really felt a little rushed and not quite the value that you would expect from its competitors. Season 2, however, has upped their game significantly. The skins are better, there's more of them, stat trackers and such are now free, which is kind of good because it felt kind of empty to get like a Mirage Season 1 wins tracker for leveling up. You get more Apex coins overall, so it kind of pays for the pass even better than in the past. And overall, no complaints. It's a really steady progress, and I'm happy to see it. Another big change we got is the ranked mode. So we now have casual queue, where you just play and there's no real pressure beyond what you put on yourself. And then we have ranked mode, where there's several tiers going from bronze all the way up to Apex Predator. And bronze, I believe it's 0 RP points to queue up in a match, 2 for silver, 3 for gold, I believe, and so on. So the harder you get, the more of a gamble it is, the better you have to perform to get RP points to continue to play and level up within that tier. Placing in the top 10 or top 3 yields X amount of RP points. The amount of kills you get, up to 5, I believe, add RP points. So it's nice to see the game split a little bit, get a little more variety. You have your casual players doing their thing, you can pub stomp a little bit easier, and then there's the ranked queues for if you want to play people a little bit more your skill, it allows you to do that, and I think it's really great. It also changes the pacing of the games. Casual has always been pretty intense. You hear the shots, you go for it. Third parties away, gung-ho, go, 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 which is fine, that's how I like to play. But the higher levels of ranked have really changed the approach to the game. Watson, the new character, has seen incredible play because in the final circles, everyone, they want that win, they want them RP points, they gotta rank up. So like hunkering down in a house, setting up some nice Watson fences and her shield generator, it's really become a strategy, and it's really fun to see the game take that turn to be able to play more conservatively, kind of like a PUBG, where you're sneaking and camping out and stealthing a little bit, and to still have the option to go gung-ho in casual and still be competitive. It's absolutely great, and has added much needed variety and a sense of progression to the game that it lacked previously. Another important change that came in Season 2 is some gun balancing and additional hop-ups for certain guns, most notably of which is the Disruptor mod for the Alternator and RE45. Though it's been nerfed from when it first launched, initially I believe it did 2.2 damage to shields, which is insane. It now has been reduced to I believe 1.7, but the gun itself did get a damage per bullet buff, so not only is it a much better gun without the mod, it is still absolutely insane with the mod. Hammer point rounds have been added for the P2020 and the Mozambique, which do extra damage to unshielded opponents. A well-shot Moza will actually, with the hammer point rounds, will one-shot an unshielded opponent, which actually makes the Mozambique viable in a lot of people's eyes, which is great because nobody likes feeling like their gun is totally worthless, and these hop-ups give potential to guns that otherwise were straight trash. Another important change is circle damage. Circle now does a hell of a lot more damage, and I can't tell you how many games I've won, me and my squad, simply by engaging the other team as circle is closing and just being closer to the inside than they are, and circle gets the last kill for us. It's happened more times since Season 2 started, by a factor of about 5 times more often than it did previously. So another interesting change to the playstyle. It always sucks dying to the circle, but it's really just another thing to be mindful of and adds a good sense of pacing to the game, in my opinion. So while the game has picked up some old players who may have gotten a little bored with the lack of Season 1 content, it has really thrived on Twitch. It's a very popular streamed game. There's never really a problem for lobbies, unless maybe you're playing on the higher queue ranked like Platinum and Apex, I have heard that there's some wait times there, which, should go down as more people make their way up the ranks. But it's a blast to see the game doing well, still being free, and to pick up the notoriety that I feel it deserves. However, there are a couple things that if the game wants to go forward, stay healthy, and continue to grow, in my opinion, it absolutely must address. First among these is the code leaf errors and errors in general. While the game runs well and everything, the whole community has noticed that after the Season 2 patch, we get these code leafs quite a bit, which is okay. It just basically knocks you out of your lobby, and you have to rejoin. I believe it only has happened to me while I was in the lobby, perhaps once while I was in-game. I've had other crashes in-game, but not specifically tied to the code leaf or CodeNet issue. But it seems to be a huge problem. On console, people say it's nearly unplayable, or at least it was. They have reportedly pushed something to help fix this, and it seems to have mitigated it somewhat, but with a average day of like say 2 hours of playing or so, you're guaranteed at least a couple code leaves. So nobody likes an error message. Nobody likes getting a crash to desktop when you're in the top 3, which has happened and definitely makes me salty. So I would encourage the developers to definitely keep an eye on the code leaf and related glitches, because nothing sours you on a game faster, other than maybe dying to a cheat. And speaking of cheaters, they're still there. It's a free-to-play game, so I am sympathetic to how hard it must be to consistently keep the cheaters out, but it seems to have gotten better. They come and go in waves as the new cheating software is released, thus the new anti-cheating software must be released. So while they seem more or less on top of it, you still will encounter cheaters, and it still sucks. I can't emphasize enough how much I believe that first-person competitive shooters like this that are online should feature a kill cam. I'm sure it's quite, a bottleneck on the developer's end to add that to the game, but as a player, it gives me, knowledge. Like, oh, that guy was hiding up there, and that's where I got shot from. Interesting, now I know. Or, oh wow, that guy wasn't cheating, he's just a really good shot. I did, whatever it may be. Kill cams allow the community to report cheaters better, learn the game better based on how they see how they died, and are overall just a must-have, in my opinion, for first-person shooter games of this era. This is one thing that PUBG does, that Apex doesn't, and I'd really like to see Respawn follow suit. Another software-related issue that I think will go a long way to improving the longevity of the game is the netcode. You can look up the various charts and stuff on Reddit, and I have a very limited understanding of how this stuff works in general. But netcode is basically where your character is versus the game thinks you are versus where you think the opponent is. And it seems to have a greater disparity than in most games. PUBG actually has better netcode than Apex Legends, which surprised me because Apex generally feels pretty smooth and pretty clean. However, netcode, which basically, to give my layman's understanding of it, you think you're behind cover, but you still get shot behind cover by the guy that you thought you had cover from, and the reason is that the netcode is on his screen, you're still, not under cover. So he can shoot you even though you think you're undercover, and dying that way is mad frustrating. I'm sure it's a hard thing for them to tighten up, but to improve that will improve the game immeasurably, like factually, statistically, technically make the game better, make it more satisfying, make it a more worthwhile competitor to Fortnite, PUBG, what have you. Also, Season 2 has given a greater variety of challenges, both daily and weekly to us. So it's nice, it incentivizes you to play caustic when you might not normally, to get a nice greedy finisher when otherwise you might not. And, while some of them are annoying, LMG headshots, for instance, overall it really adds a nice sense of satisfaction to the game to have these increased achievements as opposed to last season where we're just grinding each character to get their weekly bonus XP. So, mad props for that. And just one more note that of a personal item that I believe this being improved will improve the quality of the experience of the game immeasurably would be the in-game voice chat, which is honestly quite trash. Now, I was playing pubs with a guy the other day, and he said that for some reason, if you have a webcam hooked up to your computer, Apex defaults to the microphone on your webcam, as opposed to the one in your headset or whatever your default is through Windows. Now, I haven't, because I'm lazy, I have not actually tried this myself, but very interesting if true. So while, I may be able to mitigate this as an end user, I would really like to see Respawn fix that on their end, because the average person might not have the time or attention to pay to that. And as we all know, communication is the fourth man of the team. So improving the voice chat will go such a long way to improving the community, which generally is not very toxic, which I am happy to say, and happy to generally try to be a non-toxic player myself. But good voice communication goes a long way towards that, instead of not understanding what your homeboys are saying. That's no good. So that's pretty much it. That's what I like about Season 2, what I hope to see for the future, and I guess the question's on to you guys. Still playing Apex? What do you want to see? Stop playing? What made you stop playing? Let me know in the comments down below, and as always, thank you for watching.
Mysterious caverns below the castle, your odyssey continues against the awesome forces that oppose your efforts to reach the dragon's lair. Lead on, adventurer. Your quest awaits. Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair.